ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. We have been looking at chapter 7 in the Bhagavad Gita, and we have talked about the various the various aspects of the introduction. We have talked about how verses 1 to 3 are introducing the themes of the entire chapter that are going to be developed throughout the whole chapter, through the unfoldment of the verses. The chapter is called Jnana Vijnana Yoga, and the Jnana and Vijnana mean the same thing, but when they are used together, then it means something. Each one has a subtle difference in the meaning. Here, Jnanam is Ishvara Jnanam, the knowledge of Bhagavan, and this is the whole section that is going to introduce Bhagavan, and what is Bhagavan, what is Ishvara, etc. And then Vijnanam means well ascertained knowledge, because of which I do not come under the spell of ignorance any further, any more, anyhow. That is Vijnana. So this is what its purport is. And then we saw that in the first two verses that the Lord says, I will teach you the two aspects of my nature, and knowing these two aspects of my nature, there will not be anything further to know. How is that possible? There will be no Purusharthas, he says. How is that possible that there will be no Purusharthas? There will be no Purusharthas because whatever you want to attain is within the rubric called God, Ishvara. There is nothing outside of God that there is left to attain. In other words, whatever you want may look odd, but is indeed God, Ishvara. And so, supposing somebody says, God is a very boring topic, I want to know how I can just rise in the universe. That desire to rise in the universe, become ambitious, famous, successful, is what we call Ishvara, is not outside of Ishvara. Knowing Ishvara, all this becomes, one gets fulfillment much, much more than pursuing everything else. Why is that? Because the pursuit of Ishvara is like chasing your own tail. It is like chasing one's own tail. It is not going anywhere else. It is looking at the truth of the whole person per se. And so, it was told that this truth and the truth of all the gamut of human pursuits symbolizes all the knowledge that is there for you to know. Symbolizes this Ishvara, symbolizes the gamut of your pursuits, your desire to know, your desire to have, your desire to participate, your desire to seek. It includes everything. It includes all your desire and the objects of the desires therein. This is what we were told. And everywhere we have the same thing. Asminnu bhagavo vijñāte sarvam vijñātam bhavati iti. This was Shaunaka's question in the Mundakopanishad. Knowing this, how can everything be known? How can everything be known knowing one thing? What is the master key to the universe? The master key to the universe is the master, mistress, himself, herself, Ishvara. And that Ishvara in the tradition is looked upon from two standpoints, and from the standpoint of of two kinds of causes, and that is what is going to be talked about as apara prakriti maya and para prakriti ishvara, maya shakti and ishvara. So this is the setup, and we still have to do a little bit in verse number 3. So let us chant that and then proceed from verse number 3. मनुष्याणां सहस्रेषु कश्चिद्यतति सिद्धये यततामपि सिद्धानां कश्चिन्मां वेत्ति तत्त्वतः. Among the thousands and thousands of people who seek Ishvara, one alone puts the right effort, meaning looking for a teacher who can teach, looking for Vedanta, looking to be free, etc., looking at Jnanam as a pramana, all these things. Then, out of the people who are seeking properly, many of them drop off. Many of them just go their way. Many of them become pessimistic and give up the pursuit. Still further of them, have some obstacles. Not enough punya to continue the pursuit, even though they are enjoying the knowledge. Not enough steam, not enough prarabdha, good prarabdha, punya to continue. So then, even people making the right effort, sometimes due to unavoidable reasons beyond their control, need to drop out of the pursuit or defer the pursuit. Therefore, just one person alone knows me entirely. Even though this verse looks pessimistic, it is meant to encourage. What do you mean it's meant to encourage? How is it meant to encourage? Well, if you read this, it is meant to encourage when you see yourself as this Kaschit, not that Kaschit. Not Manushyanam Sahasreshu. You are not among the teeming millions of masses who are not seeking, who are going from mall to ball. What is mall? Mall, people say, is a place where you go shopping, where all the shops are there. And generally it is spelled MALL. I have my own spelling for it. How do I spell it? MAUL. Why is it MAUL? Because that's where you go to be mauled of your wallet, of your purse, of your money. You spend more than needed and more than what you think you want to spend. And so that is that is mall. And from mall you go to ball. Ball generally means some kind of a dance or some kind of a party with some dancing involved. So ball is spelled how? Just like ball, BALL. But I have my own spelling. It is BA what? It is BAWL, not double L. WL it is. Ball means to cry. So first you go to the mall to get mauled of your savings, and then you go and sit and bawl. This is Sahasranam. This is thousands and thousands of people. What Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna is that you don't belong there. I'm not counting you there. I'm not counting you among the people who have slipped from the pursuit and gone away, like Arjuna's question in the last chapter. Ayatihi shraddhayopetaha yoga chalita manasaha. So you don't come under that, Arjuna. You need not be pessimistic, and through Arjuna, nobody needs to be pessimistic, because that is not the intention at all. You don't come under the teeming millions of people. You don't come under the people who are not putting enough effort. You don't come under the people who have dropped away from the pursuit. Why? You are still in the pursuit. You are earnestly pursuing. You have given up a lot to come to this course and to study. That's not easy. And therefore, it is commendable you have done that. So, where should you count yourself? You should count yourself in the last kashchit, not this Manushya here who is going from mall to ball, not this Kashchit here who is somehow seeking, not this Yatatam, not these people who are searching and who are seeking, and then this Kashchit is where you belong. Who is this Kashchit? The one who gains me totally. And so that's why it's an inspirational verse, not a verse where you go, I don't think I can do it, OMG. And so that is the idea. And then here comes a slightly cryptic verse, because it is borrowed from Sankhya philosophy, which is not very I am biased, which is not very interesting as Vedanta, as far as Vedanta is concerned. And since we are not studying Sankhya philosophy after this verse, there is no time to go into that also. So I will deal with a little bit of the philosophy later on when we come to looking at these words in detail, and then we will just leave it at that. We will see what Adi Shankara says about these the first two lines, and including this ahankara. So this is we will deal with that afterwards. Okay. So let us read. Let us chant these two verses. Bhumirapo nalo vayuhu, Bhumirapo nalo vayuhu, kham mano buddhireva cha, kham mano buddhireva cha, ahankara iti yamme, ahankara iti yamme, भिन्ना प्रकृतिरष्टधा, भिन्ना प्रकृतिरष्टधा, अपरेयाम् इतस्त्वन्याम्, अपरेयाम् इतस्त्वन्याम्, प्रकृतिं विद्धि मे पराम्, प्रकृतिं विद्धि मे पराम्, जीवभूतं महाबाहो, जीवभूतं महाबाहो, ययेदं धार्यते जगत्, ययेदं धार्यते जगत्. Before going into this verse, a little background is warranted, because this is all coming from the Upanishad. The nature of Bhagavan given in the Bhagavad Gita is not coming out of his head. It is all coming from the Upanishad alone. And then the Upanishad unfolds the nature of this universe as being composed of two things. One is two kinds of causes. What is the first cause? It is called Nimitta Karana. Nimitta Karana means the intelligence behind something. Like even when you look at a pot, what do you see? You see the clay, you see the shape of the clay, you see this thing called pot, but then what you really see is the fact that it is intelligently made. Somebody had a lot of skill. If you don't know how to make a pot and you go and throw the mud, the clay, you go and throw the clay on the wheel and then start to shape it like a pot, what will come? Some very interesting thing will come. Maybe something that looks like the map of India will come. What will not come? Okay. Now, there is obviously an intelligence there. There is the know how. There is a technical know how. And so it is with all these things. Like you take this cloth has got some material, polyester, something like that, and cotton, polyester, and then it has some intelligence. How to bring the cotton or the polyester together and weave it into a cohesive thing that can be used to wear. That is the intelligent cause. So everything in the universe has a material cause and an intelligent cause. The pot has a material cause. What is the material of the pot? Clay. And the pot also has an intelligent cause. What is the intelligence cause? The potter. The potter is the intelligent cause. The clay is the material cause. So like this, these are the twofold causes of the universe, and the material cause here is called apara prakriti, and the intelligent cause behind the creation is called para prakriti. That is how this is talked about. As I said, the terminology may be different, but nonetheless it is the same teaching that the Upanishad gives in terms of the cosmology of creation. And we find this in multiple Upanishads, and we can see that, like in that verse, for example, यथोर्णनाभिसृजते गृह्णते च यथा पृथिव्याम् ओषधयः सम्भवन्ति यथा सतः पुरुषात् केशलोमानि तथाक्षरात् सम्भवति विश्वम्. A very important verse from the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Am I correct? No. Okay. It's the 3rd chapter. No. What is it? Mundakopanishad. The very first Mundaka, the first part of the first Mundaka, that is where it is. And the wonderful example of what? Spider. Spider has the material. Where is the material coming from? It has to go web shopping. Where? On the web, on the World Wide Web. on the World Wide Web, it goes web shopping. It goes to Amazon.com and then says, okay, spider web material, 10 meters, please. Express shipping. No such thing. Why? Why do you need express shipping? Because I'm hungry. I want to catch some insects in it. And the intelligence of the spider, where to make the web. It will not make the web right there or on the floor, where this lady is cleaning all the time, where this person is cleaning all the time. Where will it make the web? Somewhere in the ceiling. People clean the floor of the house regularly, and the ceiling is cleaned only at Deepavali, Festival of Lights. It will come, we will celebrate it together. It will be on the 12th of November. 11th, 12th, 13th will be wonderful days. We will all celebrate together. Lots of wonderful things to eat and very nice program we will have. So only before that there is spring cleaning, like deep cleaning of classroom may also happen around that time. Shortly before or after, get ready, and deep cleaning of Adhishthanam, deep cleaning of temple, deep cleaning of yoga hall, all the deep cleaning of dining hall, all these things will, happen just before Deepavali. At that time, one takes a telescopic brush, with a long handle and a brush on top, and goes like that on the ceiling. And then what? And then by that time, the intelligent spider that had built the web right up above your head would have already have had its life, had its set of babies. Its babies would have had more babies, and those babies would have had some more babies. 4 generations would be over. So that is enough for that spider. And then again, the very next day, after the deep cleaning has been done, Deepavali has been celebrated, it builds a new house. Again, that intelligence. So the intelligence and the material in the world come from two different sources. The intelligence is resting in a conscious being, and the material is bought from outside. This is well and good, but where is Bhagavan, the conscious being, going to go for the material? Where is Bhagavan going to go for the material? Neighbor yet to come. Another galaxy yet to come. Even this galaxy has not come. What are you talking about? Where will Bhagavan go to get material? Nowhere else other than himself, herself. So the spider example is for abhinna nimitta upadana karanam. Abhinna, non-different, nimitta upadana karanam, where the intelligent cause and the material cause rest in a single being. Unlike what we observe in the world outside, they rest in a single conscious being. Like even the spider, which is very tangible. So the same spider spins it's called spider silk, creates its own thread. Spider silk it creates, with that it goes up and then it comes down. Then again it goes up. If you try to catch it, it will go up out of your hand. And then you put the hand down, it will come down. And so this is exactly the metaphor given in the Upanishad, a beautiful metaphor. And then further, yatha prithivyam oshadhayah sambhavanti. So the Prithvi is what? Is jada, but oshadhis are chetana. Or we can say the Prithvi looks brown and homogeneous, and the plants are heterogeneous and green. So it can even produce things unlike itself. And then finally, sataf purushat kesha lomani, like the hairs on the head and the hands and legs of the person who is alive, but the hair and the nails are not alive. So jada can come from Chetana, and something different than itself can also come. But really speaking, this verse, this mantra in the Mundakopanishad demonstrates abhinna nimitta upadana karanam, that the para prakriti and apara prakriti are invested in one and the same being, who is Ishvara. That is what the first thing we have to understand. Then, if this much is understood, then what if this Bhagavan is Jagat Karanam? Then what is this Bhagavan? Where is the Bhagavan? How is the Bhagavan making this universe? And the Shastra discusses this Bhagavan as being made up of two things. Two kinds of nature are discussed here, and this is beautifully shown in our temples as the form of Ardhanarishwara, half masculine and half feminine deity. Shiva and Shakti together. This is exactly these two principles, Shiva and Shakti together. And so the nature of this God is Jagat Karanam Brahma. This Brahman which has as though morphed, not without undergoing any change, as though morphed into the cause of the universe. And then this is what consisting of two kinds of prakritis. It has two kinds of nature, which one is called para and the other one is called apara. One is the apara prakriti is upadana karanam, para prakriti is nimitta karanam. Both are vested in one being, one conscious being who is the wielder of this power and who is the maker, mover, and shaker of the entire Jagat. Now, how do I distinguish para prakriti and apara prakriti? Well, it's not very difficult. First, we will see what they have in common. Both are anadi, both do not have a beginning. Apara prakriti doesn't have a beginning. Neither does para prakriti have a beginning. Both are nitya, both are uncreated, they are beginningless, they are uncreated, they are not destroyed. So um, this is the similarity. So then this is the first and only perhaps common feature between what is called para prakriti and what is called apara prakriti in the next two verses. So there are we can mention four features of difference, four areas of difference from the Upanishad. We can mention them to consider right now. So the first difference between para prakriti and apara prakriti is that what we call para prakriti is chetana, apara prakriti jada. Chetana, sentient. Para prakriti is naturally sentient. Apara prakriti shines in borrowed sentience, a sentience that it borrows from para prakriti. By itself, it is insentient. So, para prakriti sentient, apara prakriti insentient. That is the first thing. The first thing that we have to see, the first difference between the two. Consciousness is para prakriti. It is neither created nor destroyed, and it is sentient because it is conscious. That's why it's consciousness. It is sentient. Whereas apara prakriti is achetana, insentient, inert. This is the first difference. And then the second difference is that para prakriti has no attributes, no gunas, no physical attributes, no emotional attributes, no psychological attributes, no chemical attributes, nothing, no properties at all. It has nothing by which it can be described, and thankfully it need not be described because it happens to be self-evident. So it need not be described because it is evident. And so para prakriti is sentient and without attributes, free of all attributes. And then apara prakriti, so as consciousness, it is free of attributes. So what about Satchidananda? Those are not attributes of consciousness. What are they? Defining and indicatory words that can lead one to consciousness. They are not properties of consciousness. Sat, Chit, Ananda, it's not a property, they are not properties of consciousness, they are indicatory words that lead you to consciousness. So then, so Satchidananda they are not attributes. So consciousness free of attributes. What about matter? Apara prakriti is matter, and matter includes energy here. So apara prakriti is matter. What about matter? Full of attributes. So to sum up, apara prakriti is insentient, and it is saguna. It is full of attributes. Para prakriti is sentient, chetana, and nirgunam. Nirguna. It is nirguna, free of all attributes. And then what is the like apara prakriti has rajo guna, tamo guna, sattva guna, all these things are there. So it is called saguna. Gunaihi saha vartate, that which remains along with all these attributes and properties. And whereas the Paraprakriti, no attributes at all. And then the third point of difference is that being Nirguna, the Paraprakriti is free of all changes. No changes. Because it does, for something to change, for something to change, what should be there? There should be something, some existent attributes. Attributes only have to be changed, have to undergo change. There should be attributes which, like the body, which will age, which will come to illness, which will be one day strong, one day weak, which will have some ailments and other problems, and which will do this or that, and one day the body will die. What about consciousness? No attributes, no aging, no head, no headache, no legs, no leg pain, no body, no fever, nothing, no attributes. No attributes at all, totally free of attributes. And so therefore what? If it is free of attributes, it is free of all modifications. Consciousness is not available for any kind of modification whatsoever. This is Paraprakriti. The Aparaprakriti undergoes 6 stages of modification that we have seen, from Jayate to Nashyati, Pranashyati, Vinashyati. Is born, is gone. And so the third difference is that Paraprakriti is Nirvikara. Not only Nirguna, but Nirvikara. It never undergoes any change. Aparaprakriti is Savikara. Savikara means undergoes change. And then one more for this, for now, one more difference between Paraprakriti and Aparaprakriti. From this, from the first 3, it follows that Paraprakriti is that which exists independently of everything else, free of modification, free of form, and independent of existence. Independent from the standpoint of existence, extremely independent. It does not rely on anything. And what is that called? Satyam. Swatantraha. Swatantraha means it is self-dependent. And what about Aparaprakriti? Aparaprakriti clings on to Paraprakriti for dear life, always dependent. And when you put Apara and Paraprakriti, what do you get? Ishvara. The combination of these two together is the cause of creation, Ishvara. And so, what are the 4 differences? One is Chetana, Paraprakriti Chetana, Aparaprakriti Jada. Paraprakriti Nirguna, Nirguna Tattva, Aparaprakriti Saguna Tattva. And then the third one, Paraprakriti, free of modifications, Nirakara, Nirvikara, and Aparaprakriti Savikara. And the fourth one is that Paraprakriti Satyam, Aparaprakriti is what? Mithya. This is what, this when we understand, this is something which is very beautiful. This way we don't get confused very easily between Para and Apara Prakriti. So finally, what do they have in common? Nothing. Or to put it poetically, they have in common the same thing that you and your shadow have in common. What do you and your shadow have in common? Nothing. Nothing at all. And so the same thing here, Apara and Para Prakriti have nothing in common. If they have anything in common, both comprise Ishvara. And then in the Srishti Prakarana of the Upanishads, there is an elaborate discussion of how the various elements came and how time came, how space came, etc. But here, in the 7th chapter, what is that called? The Srishti Prakarana, the portion dealing with the evolution of this universe talks about this evolution or Jagat Srishti, the creation of the universe, as having an intermediary stage and then a fully blossomed stage. The intermediary stage, for example, in a tree is a sapling. First there is a sapling, a seedling, and then after, first there is a sprout, and then a seedling, a sapling, and then after a few years it becomes a full-fledged tree. And so then this is the so Lord Krishna creates this particular model to discuss the creation. He says there are two levels, para and apara prakriti, and so the para prakriti is the so he says that to go from nothing other than Bhagavan to a full-fledged universe, there is an intermediary stage. And what is that intermediary stage? That is the multiplication of the apara prakriti. Just like amoeba, 2, 4, 8. Oh, what happened to 6? No, that is also, they are multiplying in squares. 2, and then 4, and then 8. After 8, straight away 16. After 16, 32. Like that. And then so, in this way, that which was one, this consciousness which was one, underwent an intermediary stage, and that intermediary stage is known as what is that? Apara Prakriti. And that Apara Prakriti, what constitutes this intermediary stage is discussed in the form of 5 elements, etc. We'll see that soon. But what happens? In the intermediary stage, the apara prakriti breaks off and individuates from the para prakriti, and then first, so now there are 2, and then they looks like they have skipped the number 4. Straight away they have gone to 8 plus 1. The apara prakriti undergoes a change. Why not para prakriti? We just established that it is nirvikara, it doesn't undergo any change. Whereas apara prakriti is savikara, always changing. So here, very interesting, this is the part borrowed from Sankhya philosophy, which Adi Shankara beats with a stick, and he says, don't worry about it. he just says, consider it avyaktam, means unmanifest. From a place of demanifestation, the universe has come to a place of manifestation. So don't worry about it, he says. Don't go into all this, because the Sankhya philosophy we do not agree with, because it has many problems, and certain portions of the Sankhya, certain science or sects of the Sankhya philosophy are without even the discussion of Ishvara. And that is called Nirishvara Sankhya as opposed to Saishvara Sankhya. So Nirishvara Sankhya means there is no Ishvara. And it is very ironic that we are using the Sankhya philosophy to understand Ishvara in chapter 7. So for those reasons, we are not going to go into the Sankhya philosophy. But for now, just see that we just have to see this, that consciousness remains the same. And Prakriti, matter evolves, matter changes. And here the change of the matter from itself into an eightfold form. And that eightfold form has its roots in the Sankhya philosophy. So then, so now we have total what? 9. One is para prakriti, that is untouched by change, and the apara prakriti, that the apara prakriti which has become what? 8. So 8 plus 1, 9. And so this is established as the intermediary cycle of evolution or creation, the cosmology of creation, has a certain krama in it, and this krama we have seen in the Tattva Bodha, which has derived this krama, which has borrowed this order from the Taittiriya Upanishad. And tasmadva etasmad atmana akashah sambhutah akashad vayuh vayor agnih agnerapah adbhyah prithvi prithivya oshadhayah oshadhibhyonnam annat purushah. This is the Taittiriya Upanishad giving a particular krama of the formation or of the coming into being of the five elements from the subtlest to the grossest. Starting with Akasha, the space, this Atma, from this Atma, meaning I, from this I has come the space, and then from space came air. Air is little grosser than space, because space you can only objectify by the one particular sense organ, sound, whereas air you can objectify by the sense of touch and sound. Sound inheres. There is anuvritti of sound, there is an inherence of sound, and then after that fire, which can be objectified by three sense organs, which including touch and sound, sight. And then after that, from fire came water, and then that water, the distinctive quality of water is taste, and then finally the earth, smell, including all the other four. And so like this, the Taittiriya Upanishad gives a particular understanding of the unfoldment of the universe, and then the Purusha, the Jiva, etc. When the apara prakriti is busy being quote unquote becoming vayu, becoming akasha, becoming sound, becoming space, becoming earth, fire, water, air, etc., what is para prakriti doing? Nothing. Uninvolved, it is nothing. It is just watching that, it is lending its presence, even though the word lending is a verb. It is not lending as in it's going and giving something. No. Just like the sun, which is over here behind me, just like the sun over there is lighting up this Jagat here, this Jagat of beautifully painted figures. We see people playing the trumpet, we see people playing the drums, we see some people carrying the kalasha on the head, we see some people dancing, we see the birds flying, we see the tree moving in the wind, and then we see the women dancing, and we see the deer jumping, and this is a squirrel, I think a little chipmunk. We see the chipmunk also jumping and dancing about. So behind me is this beautiful Jagat. And I don't know what this is, must be Ishvara here on the top right hand side or left hand side. I don't know how this will be after this video renders. But on the opposite side of the sun, what is there? Must be Ishvara. So all this here is what? Apara Prakriti. Sun, Apara Prakriti. Bird, Apara, peacock, Apara Prakriti. Dancing figures, Apara Prakriti. And then the chipmunk, the squirrel, Apara Prakriti. And then what else? The drummers and the trumpeters, Apara Prakriti. And then the deer, Apara Prakriti. The flying bird, Apara Prakriti. And what is this here, Bhagavan? Para Prakriti. Don't think I planned this, okay? I just, try to get a different background so that people don't get bored seeing the same thing on the video, so that the mind is engaged. That's all I do. But somehow when I was looking at the background while I'm talking, all this just suddenly started to unfold. That's why it is all just Bhagavan. It is so wonderful. So here is Bhagavan, untouched by everything. Here is Ishvara in the Para Prakriti as Ishvara, and here is the whole universe, which is Maya, which is Apara Prakriti, aka Maya. So what happens to Para Prakriti? Nothing happens. And where is this Para Prakriti? Although it is depicted to be here, but somewhere in some kind of a small enclosure, the truth is Para Prakriti is everywhere. In fact, all that is called apara prakriti cannot exist without para prakriti. Para prakriti as consciousness and apara prakriti is matter. Para prakriti as consciousness infuses matter by lending its presence and sentience. Everything comes alive. Para Prakriti is the battery, and and what? Apara Prakriti is the stick figure operated with the drums, operated by the battery. So you put the battery in and the drumming starts. You take out the battery, oh, it stops, becomes stabdhi bhava, it gains, meaning it becomes lifeless. It becomes totally lifeless. Entirely lifeless. That's all it becomes. And the whole world becomes lifeless because the world is the world, not just because of Apara Prakriti. Yes, she brings some pizzazz, she brings some colors, she brings some gunas, some interesting drama she brings. But really, who sustains the drama? Who is the shadow puppeteer? Who is the puppeteer? The puppeteer is the one who moves the strings without really moving the strings. Who is the mover and the shaker of the entire creation just by his very presence, her very presence. Just like the sun shines and the verb shines here does not behave like a verb. The verb shines just becomes a description of the sun. So the Para Prakriti also doesn't do anything. It lends its sentience, and it lends its presence to everything in the matter. Without Para Prakriti, nothing matters. There is no matter. Never mind, we have to say. No matter, we have to say. And so this is what is called para prakriti, and the para prakriti is consciousness. Apara prakriti is what? Is matter. Both are beginningless, both are limitless, both are endless, and we saw that they have certain fundamental differences. One is para prakriti chetana, apara prakriti achetana, para prakriti satyam, apara prakriti mithya, para prakriti nirguna, apara prakriti saguna, para prakriti nirvikara, apara prakriti full of vikara, savikara. And then this is this is how the universe emerges out of this combination of apara prakriti and para prakriti. It follows a certain order, just like the baby is in the fetus, and then after that it develops as a fetus in the embryo, in the embryonic stage, and then finally it comes out and becomes an independent being. And so therefore, so now in the where did that verse go? So in this verse, let me share that text again. In this verse, to which I have given a very lengthy introduction, so that the rest of it will for us get quite easy. So here is in the fourth verse, apara prakriti, which has become eightfold, is described. What is that? Bhumihi, earth. Apaha, it's going in the reverse order from the grossest to the subtlest. Apaha, what is apaha? Waters. Analaha, Don't forget the which is elided here. Apaha plus analaha, apo nalaha. So analaha, fire. Vayuhu, vayuhu is air. And then kham, space. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I can totally, and I am with you up till here. I can understand they belong to a certain group, and then they belong together, and then I can see that they are in the they have things in common, and then suddenly manaha. Where did this manaha come from? All of a sudden, buddhihi, and then cha eva cha ahankara. This ahankara also is there. So where did this mano buddhi ahankara come? It looks like some kind of a, like a what is that person called who mixes songs? DJ. So the DJ has mixed up here the chanting of the Taittiriya Upanishad with the Nirvana Shatkam, Mano Buddhi Ahankara Chittani Naham, something like that. This does not belong in this group. Why are they put together? This is what I said. This is how the Sankhya philosophy presents the unfolding universe. And Lord Krishna has borrowed this jargon, this kind of a terminology from the Sankhya. So the manaha must not be, and to make matters more difficult, the word manaha must not be taken literally, okay, my mind is part of this or something. It's not the individual mind. And buddhi again, surprise, surprise, is not the individual buddhi. And then ahankara, not the individual ahankara. Then what is it? It is all the subtle 5 elements. It is a nod to the subtle 5 elements. So manaha, buddhihi, ahankara have come from the subtle 5 elements, and this bhumihi, apaha, analaha, vayuhu come. First were in their subtle form, and then they became grossified. What is the term for the grossification? Starts with a P. Panchikaranam. Panchikrita mahabhutani. That is the 5 elements as we know, as they are tangible, objectifiable. Whereas here, manaha, buddhi, ahankara, etc., apanchikrita mahabhutani. So that is the subtle elements are brought in through these words, and in other words, avyakta to vyakta Adi Shankara takes, and that is all that we need to know. And we are not going to delve into Sankhya philosophy, and don't even ask as a satsang question either. Okay, yeah, because it will. I promise you, you will require a headache. You will require an aspirin afterwards. It is headache producing. All right. So bhinna means broken up, divided. Prakriti ashtadha iti iyam me ashtadha prakriti. And so first after telling that I have 2 kinds of nature, and para and apara, first he describes the apara prakriti. What is my apara prakriti? That which is matter, and that which is in the subtle form at first, and then it becomes grossified and becomes and becomes, what is that called? Becomes the material. It becomes the material of the universe, and then this is this is what is called apara prakriti. And I forbid you to read the translation. False ego, all these things are very difficult to assimilate, and I don't want you to get confused. Then we saw, then we see in verse number 5 what is called para prakriti. So, apara and para. So, apara iyam itaha. Apara iyam tu anyam. Apara iyam tu anyam. Apara iyam tu anyam. Prakritim vidhi me para. So, other than this apara prakriti, apara itaha tu anyam. Other than this apara prakriti, know me to be having another prakriti which is called para prakriti. And what is this para prakriti? Apara prakriti gave this ashtadha. This eightfold was the apara prakriti, consisting of the subtle elements and from which the gross elements came, etc., etc. But then, what is talked about here? I also have para prakriti, and please know me as the para prakriti. And then, so please know me as the para prakriti. And then, what is the para prakriti? Surprise! Just look at this verse, wonderful. And so it says the para prakriti, prakritim vidhi me para. In what form is your para prakriti, O Lord Krishna? Jiva bhutam. In the form of you. In the form of you, stupid one. You may have mighty arms. Oh Arjuna, you may have mighty arms. But that is not clever enough. You have to know this. You who is looking for Ishvara everywhere, where is Para? Where is Para? Where is Para Vidya? Where is Ishvara? Where is Para Prakriti? The looker is the para prakriti, the one who is deluded. That is the para prakriti. I am in the form of jiva. I am in the form of atma, you. I am you. This is a tattvamasi moment right here. Right here, the Mahavakya is unfolded in the most unexpected time, in the most unexpected way, comes as a surprise. Arjuna must have looked shocked. Hey Mahabaho, it's fine to be a great warrior, but do you know that I am in your form? My Paraprakriti, my ultimate form, not my intermediary form. The intermediary form which is changing, which is dependent, which is Savikara, which is Saguna, all this is it is an intermediary form. It is not the ultimate form. My ultimate form is in the form of you. And what kind of a you? When you cognitively are able to put aside the upadhi. And what does the upadhi consist of? Subtle and gross 5 elements. That's what your upadhi consists of. Subtle and gross 5 elements. And so, what am I? I am something other than apara. I am not just the sum total of everything that comes to an end, everything that changes, everything that is constantly shifting from one to the other. I am not that at all. What am I? I am para prakriti. How do I understand that? Where is para? What is para? You are looking into the mirror. Look into the mirror. It is you. Jiva bhutam, he Mahabaho, Jiva bhutam, prakritim anyam, itahatu anyam, apareyam, itahatu anyam, prakritim me, prakritim vidhi. This is what should be known. Yaya idam dharyate jagat. This para prakriti, we are told, is responsible for the sustenance of the jagat. This yaya idam dharyate from dhru, that which holds this universe. This holds this universe. And then this is what holds the universe. Nothing else is there. It is just the para prakriti, and then this para prakriti alone holds the universe. Apara prakriti is just matter. Consciousness is para prakriti. Consciousness is neither matter nor energy. Consciousness is consciousness. Consciousness is you. So why does the Lord Krishna say, my para prakriti is you? Para prakriti is you. That is the clue. Why? Because everything else is changing. Who is the one that is not changing? The observer of the changes. Who is able to observe the changes? You. Why? Because you are consciousness. The truth of the observer is consciousness. Hey Mahabaho, you have strong arms. Better also have a strong and powerful buddhi to assimilate this knowledge. This very jiva, this very consciousness, the truth of the experiencer of the body mind sense complex, the indweller of the experience, the one that is blessing this body mind sense complex, because of whose presence this inert body has been brought to life. The mind is activated by the touch of which consciousness, the senses function in the presence of which consciousness. That is my nature, and that is the truth of your nature too. So, Mam Jiva Bhutam Vidhi, because of which Yaya Idam Jagat Dharyate. Dharyate. Because everything, even within this physical body, dharyate means what? The sentience, the body is sentient because this consciousness makes the body sentient, blesses the body to be sentient. And then what else? The body is alive. It has to be maintained. It eats, it drinks, it's able to upkeep itself, all because of the touch of consciousness. And so this human being is called a human being because of para prakriti alone. And because of para prakriti alone, the whole world functions, the whole world is lifted, the whole world is sustained. And this sustaining principle is consciousness. And this is what is called the para prakriti, which is non-separate from you. Non-separate from you means what? The jiva. Non-separate in every way, this para prakriti is from the jiva. More about that we will see in the next class. So what is the collection of this, and what is this Ishvara? Very beautifully it will be unfolded. We will see that in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.